Hello everyone, welcome to our review of the Kevin Smith film Tusk. Just to want to let everyone know that this review contains full spoilers. So we're going to go ahead and begin. So now let's introduce the actors.
In this movie, the two main characters who ends up being are portrayed by Justin Long, who is the guy from the Mac commercials, who plays the Mac computer guy. He plays Wallace in the movie alongside his partner in the radio show, whose name is Teddy, and he is played by Haley Joel Osment.
And rounding out the principal cast, we have Michael Parks, who plays Howard Howe. We also have Genesis Rodriguez playing Ale Leon, and we also have Johnny Depp playing Guy Lapointe. So let's begin with the movie. So this movie starts out, they show a video of this one Canadian kid named Kill Bill Kid, who is famous for posting a video online of himself cutting his leg off. And so when that becomes a sensation, the duo of Wallace and Teddy, who have a radio show called The Nazi Party, get a hold of it. And it's actually it's a podcast. So they get a hold of it, and so they pretty much tear this guy to shreds. And so they come up with the bright idea of having Wallace, hey, why don't you go to Canada, because where the kid's from, go to Canada and interview him for our podcast so we could get more people listening to our podcast and stuff. So, they agreed. They agree, and then they go to Canada. Well, Wallace goes to Canada and to go ahead and interview the Kill Bill Kid. And once he goes ahead and crosses the border, we see Wallace acting his douchebaggy self. You know, it's been firmly established right at the beginning of the movie. You could just tell him and Teddy they're just douchebags. They're regular, new, I guess we call the modern era of shock jocks, what Horror Story used to do. So Wallace goes to Canadian Customs, and he's pretty much acting like a douche and saying how, Americans are this and that, we're not so bad, but we're, blah, 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 blah. And the Canadians, the way they have them, they're ramping up the Canadian stereotypes where, they're like ultra friendly but awkward and stuff. And, tamping up the Canadian accents, a boots, again, and stuff like that. And they reference The Simpsons too, where they have one episode of The Simpsons where they had a CFO broadcaster, and they have with bad toupees on, which is pretty obvious. And in this movie, they have a gentleman with like a really bad mustache. You could tell the difference, from hair color. It looks really bad. So, and then from there, Wallace goes on his quest mission, or whatever you want to call it. He goes to interview the Kill Bill Kid, and when he goes to interview him, he discovers that he's dead. He killed himself. And Wallace has no story. So he calls Teddy, he's bitching and moaning about it, saying, oh, we don't have a story, blah, 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 blah. And then from there, so what he goes to a bar, and he goes to, he's in a washroom, men's room, he's taking a leak, and then he sees a little, a post in the washroom saying, I've been, this one guy saying, gone through so much in my life, and I just want to find someone to tell us my remarkable story to. And so the person who put this on there is actually Howard Howe. And then from there, Wallace calls Teddy again. He's like, I'm going to visit this guy who has this awesome story because we need something for our podcast. And so from there, he goes to a gas station. He's at a gas station he has for direction, which he gets. And excuse me. And then so he goes to the house of Howard Howe. And Howard Howe is you could tell he's a older gentleman. He looks like he's been through a lot. And so at first he's very welcoming to Wallace. And and then from there, I guess Wallace's attitude rubbed Mr. Howe the wrong way because he does something that Mr. Howe doesn't like. So can you tell me what he did to Mr. Howe that really rubbed him the wrong way?
Well, Wallace is really rude, just outlandish, very pompous, giving a really bad puppets. He actually starts talking to him about many adventures. Howard Hugh. Wallace grabs penis, a walrus penis, off of his mantle, and he starts making masturbatory gestures with it, and that doesn't sit well with him. He ends up, Howard Hugh ends up poisoning Wallace's team, and from there we have Wallace passing out, and Howard Hugh telling him there was a recluse spider, very dangerous recluse spider, and he bit you. And in order for me to make sure that you weren't going to get sick or die, I would have to call this doctor. The doctor's name isn't in my memory right now, but it's not important. All that's important is that he amputates his leg, surgically amputated from above the knee. So his one of his legs is gone. He is sedated. He looks terrible, and this is the first time we actually think it's going to be a horror movie.
Right.
And the audience itself, we already passed the whole. It's not a comedy. It's what everyone's thinking. Hopefully, that's exactly what it was presented. I don't know. From that point on, you see Justin Long feeling very trapped and alone and thinking, maybe this guy's lying to me, but he helped me. I don't know. Then he freaks out. He calls Teddy. He calls Teddy and his girlfriend. And Teddy is cheating. Teddy and his girlfriend are having an affair while Wallace is away. And they both get the same message where Wallace is freaking out. Holy crap, they need to come and try to help him. They come to the airport. They go to the police station. The police station itself, it has the stereotype, as my brother mentioned, is very bad. The police can't help them. They've been really stupid. The Canadian police is presented as very incompetent, period. You say, well, if there's someone else who can help you, fantastic. There's not that much ground to cover. There's a lot of wilderness in the area where your friend might have disappeared. Do you think he might be playing a joke on you? So basically, they don't help him. Now, during that scene, they have other segments in which Wallace is being tortured by Howard Hugh, and Howard Hugh keeps telling him about a story about the walrus who was there to protect him while he was stranded on the island, and Howard did something really horrible to survive. And could you tell us what that is, Ed?
Yes, in order to survive, he actually had to kill the walrus and eat some of the flesh of the walrus in order to survive, because it was he just had to. But also wanted to explain as well that right before they go to police station, Mr. Howe gives a little backstory about his life, saying how he was in an orphanage and how he was abused, and the reason why he ended up with the walrus to begin with, because he wanted to escape that abuse that he was experiencing in the orphanage, and that's why he went there. And I guess from there, Howe was already kind of broken already. So the whole process of him going to being a sailor and then being shipwrecked and eating the walrus, that contributed more to mess up his psyche. And I thought that scene was effective too. That scene was very scary. I think none of the actors in this movie really gave me any sense of dread, or made me feel like, wow, this is gonna be really scary. Aside from Michael Parks, he's the only really effective actor in this movie.
Michael Parks presented a sense of despair because of how he said that the walrus was the only one that was kind to him and helped them from the sea when he was drowning, because it was his plane crash or his shipwreck. I can't recall. It was his shipwreck, right?
I do believe so. Yes.
Yes, he was part of some war. I don't know what war exactly.
World War II. He mentioned it was D-Day.
It was that war.
World War II. World War II. It was around D-Day.
Okay. So his over sense of guilt for having killed Mr. Tusk, the walrus that saved him, prompted him to try to make another walrus and see if he can live that way. He can teach another human being to be as beautiful as the walrus was.
Right.
And again, the whole bizarre nature of it might sound really stupid, but the way that actor delivered it, himself, he delivered those lines so good, and he made you believe that he was really crazy.
Right.
But not in a comical way.
No. And at this point, he had actually pretty much left him a quadriplegic at this point.
We also must remember that Howard Hugh pretended to be in a wheelchair throughout the first part of the movie.
Yes, initial encounter.
Yeah. Okay, so after they fail to find help from the actual police station, they go get a private investigator. That the police actually have them follow up with, and that is the guy LaPont.
Yes.
And that is played by the phenomenal actor Johnny Depp. And again, I don't have anything against Johnny Depp. I just think some of his roles have to be questionable for him leading into this part of his life and his career. He's made a bunch of good movies, but this is not one of the good movies that he is in.
Well, he's doing this as a favor, pretty much. So not a paycheck; it's a favor. So.
Yeah, he has a really bad accent. He eats really bad food. He talks about how, there's only one place in the world in Canada where you can get these delicious burgers.
Sliders.
He needs to make sure he eats them before he gets in the plane because they give him some bad shits. And he orders a one that comes with a milkshake, and his hair looks really bad. His makeup looks atrocious.
Right.
He's pretty bad. What do you think about the Johnny Depp thing? And we forgot to mention the scene in the movie where Howard Hugh and Wallace were sitting across each other in the big empty house table.
Well, that's where he got poisoned. So. Oh no! That's not where he got poisoned.
That was after he lost his leg.
Yeah, and that's another scene I was very affected by Mr. Parks. Because he pretty much smacked Wallace, and that's like you get like initial scare in you, some terror in you just by watching that, because you really believe you could feel that could happen to you, even though Wallace isn't acting very effectively. Just Mr. Parks' performance just makes you feel like, yeah, if that was me, I would be fucking scared. So definitely, yeah. But I felt Guy LaPont was just trying to. How Johnny Depp was trying to do an impersonation of Inspector Clouseau. I've only seen clips of Peter Sellers doing the Inspector Clouseau, but that's what I felt. So, and he was trying to do like a really bad French Canadian accent. There's also some one point where I felt his kind of like little Italian accent seeping in there somewhere. I guess maybe he's trying to make fun of the actor who took over Pink Panther for one movie, son of Pink Panther, Benino. I'm sorry, Italian actor, I can't remember his name. But anywho, Johnny Depp is just going on saying, oh, we could find him this way, and the son of someone famous, he met the mother, and he knows what happened. And for Johnny Depp eventually goes to the gas station where Wallace was at, and he's able to find out where he is because he starts asking some questions to some clerks there, who, by the way, one is the daughter of Johnny Depp, one is the daughter of Kevin Smith. But anyways, he finds a notepad, and he's like, well, give me a notepad where he wrote the address on, because he asked, when he was on the phone with Mr. Howe, he wrote down the address on the paper, and, lo and behold, they still have the notepad. So he goes to grab a pencil, he highlights what he had written on the notepad because it left an impression, so he's able to find out where Mr. Howe is. Now, after that happens, we see Mr. Howe trying to pretty much break Wallace because after he makes him a quadriplegic, he makes him an improvised walrus skin that will now be his, because he's got to be a walrus now, learn to be a walrus because he has no arms or legs, and he even gives him two tusks. And so first he teaches him you're gonna have to learn how to live like a walrus. You're gonna have to learn how to swim. And so he throws him in the water, and Wallace is struggling. Now that he's a quote unquote a walrus, he starts flapping his tail and whatnot. And then he sees someone else down there, a carcass of someone who had failed before to learn how to survive. And I guess after seeing that, Wallace learns how to survive. And then Mr. Howe always says, also teaches him as well. He gives him some fish. He's like, you're going to have to eat. This is your way now. You're not human anymore. And that's another way of Mr. Howe breaking Wallace. I guess it comes. I guess that's. I think it's a full circle thing, because Mr. Howe being an orphan, just kind of was being broken, and he got a way out, and he learned how to survive. And now, because of his situation, now that Wallace is the situation that he's in, he's gonna have to survive now. And so after all that happens, he he has he makes Wallace, actually Mr. Howe makes Wallace fight him. But the thing is that Mr. Howe right now is dressed. He puts improvised walrus costumes. Says you're gonna have to fight me, and I'll let you survive. Now, what did you think about all the scenes right there with Mr. Howe trying to pretty much break Wallace? What did you think about that?
Well, again, as you mentioned before, and again, what's been a theme between the Howard Hugh character himself, he's looking to redeem himself to some degree because of how he killed that beautiful creature, the beautiful walrus, as he said, Mr. Tusk. He put himself in a full skin, human skin costume, a walrus that is human made, I suppose. That is the weird premise. That is horror shock value. Wallace is broken. Is he human? Is there still a human being in there, or is he going to turn into full walrus? I felt that transition wasn't scary for horror value, and it wasn't even comedy. It was so poorly acted because of the way Wallace was presented and the way his reaction was when he was in the costume. It was very strange. I liked Howard Hugh tremendously. I thought that he had a very good, menacing, weird, bizarre concept to him as the main character. And the main character then was the villain, obviously, the antagonist. And after all that happened, he challenged me and said, well, you have one way to survive. You either kill me or you be killed. And so they're fighting. Howard Hugh gets the upper hand at one point, and he's about to cheat and basically get up on his legs and not fight him as the walrus, because they were butting heads together, butting chests together and fighting like walruses would fight if they were mating. And he's about to win, and he's saying, well, I have to kill you anyway because I need to survive. And at the end, I was hoping that you would defeat me and redeem me for the awful thing I did to Mr. Tusk.
Right.
Wallace stabs him in its foot with his tusk, and then he stabs him in the chest. And at that time, Guy LaPlante and Teddy and Wallace's girlfriend, they find the place where he's hiding. They find the mansion because of Guy LaPlante's very good detective work, and they're about to shoot Wallace. And Wallace's girlfriend says, no, don't. And by that time, Wallace isn't even communicating. He's just grunting and making weird noises. And wrap up the final scene for me, Dan.
Okay, after that, you get a tease that Johnny Depp is actually going to shoot Wallace. And then from there, the camera cuts off because you figure, it's kind of cliche already at this point. You know what's going to happen. I kind of figure, and like this, which it does, they go to one animal sanctuary in Canada, and Allie goes up to this one overpass, whatever you want to call it, and is looking over this one little area where an animal would be at, and she goes, Wallace, I brought you a fish. So she throws the fish out, and then he comes down and starts eating it like the way a walrus would, and then she's like, and then she says, I still love you, I still love you, Wallace. And then they go away, and then Wallace starts grunting, and then he starts to cry because he's still a little bit human in there. And then the movie ends, and then after that, you see the credits roll, and then you figure because this is like a fanboy movie, they're probably posting the credits, which they do, because then you hear Kevin Smith and I don't know who else is with them having a hearty laugh, saying, "Ha ha ha! Look how." He became a walrus, ha 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 ha, and look how, he was crying in the face. That's a great end of the movie, tee hee. And then from there, that's, I had to, I guess you could say I'm taking it too seriously, but I'm just the way I think about movies. It's like, just being smug about it. And then at the movie, they show this long list of people who are, I guess, the first watchers of the movie. It was just pretty much his fanboys, and like I said before, fanboys have this sort of like loyalty to to the people who they like. It's kind of like blind loyalty, and it's they figure, oh, it's not that bad because it's this. Oh, it's this, it's not that bad because they like the people that they like so much, they're willing to make excuses for them if they do something bad. And instead of like saying, you know what, that movie was not good, or you know what, that could have been better. No, they just might say, no, it's good, it's good, it's good. It's just you see a long list of people like that, and it's called blind. It's blind loyalty, and also it's not even blind loyalty. It's just the fact that it's kind of like they want to be accepted, like they're part of a club. And what Kevin Smith did in this movie is that he was trying to make a cult classic, but he was trying too hard. He was trying to make it seem like a 70s B movie, something you would see on Mystery Science Theater 3000. He was I'm sure to the actors, you gotta ham it up, you gotta overact things, you gotta act like you're absurd, and it comes to a point where where you're absurd, just trying to act like you're a bad actor, but you're not even trying. It doesn't feel like you're trying. It's just like you're trying to mess up on purpose, and that's it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. So, and the end of the movie as well with I always felt that it really would have been more of a something to this is a term I hear about music a lot and never about movies, but they could have mind fucked you some more if they had a Wallace in a hospital, have him recover, but then still he's not there, he's not a human being, and then he still wants to like act like a Tusk. That still that would have been more chilling. They had like his face all like scarred up and stuff, have like the tusk removed and his face all deformed. That would have been more interesting. It would have been more. It would have more stuck in your psyche instead of like I felt it was just a cop out having him in the costume like that. I just felt it was a cop out. What did you think?
I'm there with you. I think that it would have been better had they showed him possibly recovering, so that you think, okay, maybe he's going to be okay, but maybe he's not going to be okay, because you don't know what they're going to do for part 2 and part 3. There was a Twitter thing they had before the movie came out where they said, do a hashtag walrus yes or walrus no to see how much in demand you would be if seeing that movie. So Kevin Smith has a big fan base.
Right.
Because of Clerks and other movies he's done. And that's fine. But this movie, he was intentionally doing it as a comedy or as essentially saying, well, I can make whatever movie I want and you're still going to see it. So I don't know what the idea was behind it, but I don't recommend this movie to anybody unless you really are a hardcore Kevin Smith fan, or you really like Johnny Depp and you want to see everything that Johnny Depp does. Please go see this movie. That's the movie for you. But for anyone who doesn't think any of that stuff is funny, if you don't want to have your intelligence insulted by having some guy dressed in a really bad skin costume pretending to be a walrus, don't see this movie. I give it 1 star. The best part of the movie is Johnny Depp because he plays a really bad actor. He hands it up really good. At the end of the movie, he's having problems keeping his bowel movements in check. So much and that extra milkshake, and the makeup on him is just atrocious. So again, I give this movie 1 star out of 5, and I don't know like who this movie appeals to, but I will be watching 2 and 3 just to see how bad they are because I like to see bad movies. This one's the worst one I've seen in a while, though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I like watching bad movies too, especially B movies. But I mean, if you're watching a movie, even if it's bad, if it feels like if it's a chore, then it's not a very good movie. No, regardless, even if it's good or bad, because if it feels like a chore, if you feel you can't even zone out and then come back, it's not good. Nope, it's not good at all. Because I know I watch bad movies, I zone out and then come back. But if you just can't even zone out, I feel like I can't even like, whatever, get away from me, then forget it. So. Okay, so I guess we're just gonna go ahead and wrap it up now. So, any last thoughts?
No, I want to thank everyone for watching. Please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. We'll have other bad movies and good movies, wrestling reviews, and all sorts of fun stuff for you to check out on our channel. We want to thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching this entire video. We'll try to keep it short
Yeah, I think we will cover a good movie. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye bye.